you ever been booking a flight or hotel and right before you check out, see that little box asking if you want to add travel insurance? And suddenly you're staring at a price like $120 or $240 and thinking, wait, why is this so expensive? Or maybe the opposite happens. You see a policy for $40 and think that seems too cheap. What's the catch? Travel insurance is one of those things that most people don't think about until the checkout page throws it in front of them. So how much does it actually cost? In this video, we're diving into how much travel insurance really costs for a 7-day trip, what affects the price, and how you can estimate what you'll likely pay before you even start comparing policies. What's going on, everyone? My name is Eric Hunsker, and on this channel, we cut through the fluff to help you make smarter insurance and financial decisions. Because when it comes to travel insurance, the price might not be what you think. So let's break it down. The quick answer, what most people pay. So let's start with the short answer. Most travel insurance plans cost somewhere between 4% and 10% of your total trip cost. And the average policy is usually right around 5% to 6% of the trip price. So if your vacation costs $5,000, your travel insurance will typically land somewhere between around $200 and $300. But that's just the average. Some people pay $50, others pay $600 or more. So what's going on? Why is such a big difference? The answer comes down to a few key things. And once you understand them, travel insurance pricing suddenly makes a lot more sense. Real examples for a 7-day trip. Let's walk through a few realistic scenarios. Imagine 4 different travelers planning a 7-day vacation. Same length trip, different budgets. Here's what travel insurance usually looks like. Budget trip, $1,000 vacation. Let's say you're taking a quick getaway, maybe a cheap flight, small hotel, and a few activities. Total trip cost, $1,000. Travel insurance typically costs around $40 to $100. That's about the price of a nice dinner. And this is where people often are surprised. Insurance isn't always expensive, especially if the trip itself is affordable. Mid-range trip, $3,000 vacation. Now let's say you're taking a nicer vacation. Flights, a decent hotel, maybe a few excursions. Trip cost, $3,000. Insurance will usually run about $120 to $240. Again, roughly 4% to 8% of the trip cost. It's probably the most common price range most travelers see. Nice vacation, $5,000 trip. Now we're talking about a bigger trip, maybe Hawaii, maybe Europe. Total cost, $5,000. The average travel insurance cost here is about $200, but prices can range from about $80 to almost $400 depending on coverage. And this is where coverage choices start to matter. Basic plans will sit on the low end. Comprehensive plans will cost more. Big vacation, $10,000 trip. Let's say you're planning something special, a big anniversary trip, a luxury resort, maybe a big cruise. Trip cost, $10,000. Insurance will usually fall between $400 and $1,000. That sounds like a lot, but remember, insurance companies are protecting a much bigger financial risk. That trip gets canceled, they could be reimbursing thousands of dollars. The biggest factor, your trip cost. Here's the first thing that controls travel insurance pricing, your trip cost. Travel insurance companies look at one main question: how much money are we protecting? Because if your trip costs $5,000 and you cancel it, the insurance company might have to pay back the full $5,000. That's why insurance scales with the trip price. Higher trip cost, higher insurance cost. Lower trip cost, cheaper policy. Pretty simple. The second biggest factor, your age. This is where things can change quickly. Travel insurance companies pay close attention to age. And once travelers hit their 60s or 70s, prices start rising faster. For example, a 20-year-old might pay around 4% of the trip cost, but an 80-year-old could pay 17% or more for the same trip. Why? Because older travelers are statistically more likely to file medical claims. Medical claims are one of the most expensive types of travel insurance claims. So age matters, sometimes a lot. Trip length also matters. You might be wondering, wait, if my trip is longer, does insurance get more expensive? Yes, because longer trips mean more time for things to go wrong. More days traveling, more hotel nights, more flights, more chances for delays or cancellations. For example, basic travel medical insurance for shorter trips often averages about $53 for a 4 to 7 day trip. Longer trips push those costs higher. So your 7-day trip is actually on the cheaper end compared to longer vacations. Coverage type makes a big difference. Another big factor is what kind of policy you buy, because not all travel insurance is the same. There are 3 common types. Number 1, travel medical insurance. This is the simplest option. Mainly covers medical emergencies while traveling. Things like hospital visits, emergency care, medical evacuation. These plans are often the cheapest, sometimes as low as $50 to $70 for a short trip, but they usually don't cover trip cancellations. Number 2 is comprehensive travel insurance. This is the most common policy that people buy. Usually covers things like trip cancellation, trip interruption, medical emergencies, lost luggage, and travel delays. This is where that 4% to 10% of the trip cost usually applies. Most travelers fall into this category. 3, cancel for any reason coverage. Then there's the premium option, cancel for any reason policies. These let you cancel your trip for almost any reason, even if you simply change your mind. But there's a catch. They cost a lot more, often 40% to 60% more than standard policies. So if a normal policy costs $200, this one might cost $300 or more. When travel insurance is surprisingly cheap. Let's talk about when insurance prices drop, because sometimes it's way cheaper than people expect. You'll usually get the lowest price if you're younger, the trip is inexpensive, the trip is short, you choose medical only coverage, and you skip premium add-ons. In those situations, travel insurance might only cost $40 to $80. Honestly, sometimes less than airport parking when it gets expensive. On the other hand, certain situations make travel insurance jump in price. For example, travelers over 65, expensive international trips, cruises, adventure activities, and cancel for any reason coverage. These add risk for insurance companies, and when risk increases, so do prices. A simple formula to estimate travel insurance. Here's an easy rule you can use. If you want a quick estimate for travel insurance, just multiply your trip cost by about 5% to 7%. For example, the trip cost $4,000. Estimated insurance price, $200 to $280. That estimate will usually get you very close to real quotes. Is travel insurance worth it? So now this brings up the obvious question. Is travel insurance actually worth it? The honest answer is it depends. If you're taking a cheap trip with 3 refundable bookings, you might skip it. But if you're spending thousands of dollars on flights, hotels, or cruises, insurance can protect that investment, especially for international trips where your regular health insurance may not apply. Some medical evacuations alone can cost tens of thousands of dollars. So the value really depends on the situation. Now, if you're looking to get some travel insurance yourself, we recommend checking out VisitorsCoverage, and we'll leave a link for you down in the description to get started. When you click on it, come here to this Get Trip Costs Quote. This is coverage for flight cancellations, missed connections, delays, cancel for any reason, and more. Just go ahead and click on this. Now, first things first, it's going to ask where you're traveling to. For this example, we'll select the Bahamas and click Continue. From the United States and California, one traveler, 31 years of age, $3,000, and we'll go and put the trip deposit date as today. And let's say we'll go for 7 days, sometime in June, and we'll go ahead and click on Get. Now, what's great about this is you can go ahead and compare different plans. Let's say you want to compare this first one here. We'll scroll down a little bit. Here's another one for almost double the price. And we'll go ahead and find a really cheap one here. This one potentially. And now we click on this compare button. Now we're going to be looking at these 3 different plans side by side. So again, for a $3,000 trip, we're looking for anywhere between $88 and $196 on these 3 plans. Now, what's really cool here is this highlight difference button. So when we go ahead and turn that on, it's going to highlight the differences between all of these. So for example, we can see that these 3 rows, you get all the same coverage, but these highlighted ones, everything's different. We can scroll down, look at medical and emergency and see the differences here, as well as this others category here and some more coverage details. Again, everything highlighted here to show you the difference. So again, if you want to get started with Visitors Coverage, just click the link down below in the description. So let's wrap this up. If you're planning a 7-day trip, here's what travel insurance usually costs. Most policies fall somewhere between 4% and 10% of the total trip price. That means a $1,000 trip, about $40 to $100. $3,000 trip, about $120 all the way up to maybe $240. A $5,000 trip, about $200 to $300. $10,000 trip, about $400 to $1,000. But the real price always depends on your age, your destination, the trip length, coverage type, and how expensive the trip actually is. Once you understand those factors, travel insurance pricing becomes much easier to predict. And the next time you see that insurance offered during checkout, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. So if you want to see which insurance option is best for your situation, we'll leave our affiliate links below to some surveys you can take and some other options that we recommend. These are affiliate links, so we do earn a small commission when you use them at no extra cost to you. And it's your support through these links that helps keep our channel going and allows us to keep creating free content like this. So we really appreciate it if you decide to use them. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Here on the channel, we provide clear, in-depth guides and comparisons to help you understand different types of insurance and make smarter decisions by protecting yourself, your family, and your lifestyle. So be sure and subscribe. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you here in the next video.